The first thing I felt when I woke up was the cold, not the gentle chill of air conditioning, but a bone-deep cold that seemed to seep through the thin hospital blanket and settle into my chest. The kind of thirst that makes your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth. I tried to swallow, but it hurt. Everything hurt. The fluorescent lights above me flickered. I blinked slowly, trying to piece together where I was and why every breath felt like someone was pressing a hot iron against my right side. Then I remembered. Marcus. I had done it. I had given my nephew part of my liver. 3 days ago, Dr. Reeves had opened me up and taken a section of my liver to save Marcus's life. 24 years old, and his liver was failing. They said it was some rare autoimmune condition. Watching him deteriorate over 6 months had been unbearable. He was my late brother David's only child. After David died in that construction accident 12 years ago, I had stepped in, paid for Marcus's high school, his community college, helped him get his first apartment. He was the closest thing to a son I would ever have. The surgery had been my decision. An easy one. When they told me I was a match, I didn't hesitate. Sure, I was 67, but I was healthy, active. I had built a small engineering firm from nothing, sold it 5 years ago for close to $8 million. I could afford the best medical care, and I could afford to save my nephew. Now, lying in this recovery room, I wondered why nobody had visited me yet. I pressed the call button. A nurse appeared within minutes, a young woman with kind eyes and purple scrubs. Mr. Thatcher, you're awake. How's your pain level? 7, I croaked. Maybe 8. Where's Marcus? My nephew. Is he okay? Her expression shifted slightly, something I couldn't quite read. Marcus was discharged yesterday afternoon. He's recovering well. Yesterday? He could leave already? The recipient typically recovers faster than the donor, she explained, adjusting my IV. You'll be here another few days. Your surgery was more invasive. Has he called? Left any messages? She hesitated. I'm not sure, Mr. Thatcher. Let me check with the nurses' station. She left. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the small holes in the acoustic panels. 64 holes per tile. I had always noticed patterns. It was what made me good at engineering. My side throbbed with each heartbeat. When the nurse returned, she was holding a manila envelope. This was left for you at the desk. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was there until I checked. I took it with shaking hands. My name was written on the front in Marcus's handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a business card for something called Evergreen Assisted Living Community. The letter was brief. Uncle Bill, thank you for everything. The doctors say I need a quiet recovery environment, and Ashley and I have decided it would be best if you moved somewhere with professional care. We've arranged a room for you at Evergreen. They're expecting you when you're discharged. All the paperwork has been handled. Your house will be listed for sale next week. We need to liquidate assets to cover ongoing medical expenses. Take care, Marcus. I read it 3 times, then a 4th. My house. The house I had lived in for 32 years. The house I had raised Marcus in after David died. They were selling my house. Mr. Thatcher? The nurse touched my arm gently. Are you all right? I wasn't all right. But I didn't know how to explain that the person I had just given a piece of my liver to had apparently decided I was now a burden to be warehoused. The next 2 days in the hospital passed in a blur of confusion and pain medication. Marcus never called, never visited. When I tried his cell phone, it went straight to voicemail. I left 4 messages. Then I stopped trying. Dr. Reeves, my transplant surgeon, came by on the morning of my discharge. She was a woman in her early 50s, with sharp eyes and silver-streaked black hair pulled into a tight bun. Mr. Thatcher, how are you feeling? Like someone cut me open and took part of my liver, I said. She smiled slightly. That's accurate. Your recovery is progressing normally. You'll need to take it easy for the next 6 to 8 weeks. No heavy lifting, no driving for at least 2 weeks, and absolutely no alcohol, ever again. You understand? I nodded. Good. I've scheduled follow-up appointments for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 3 months. It's critical you attend all of them. We need to monitor your liver function as it regenerates. She paused, looking at my chart. I see you're being discharged to a facility? Apparently, her eyebrows rose slightly. I was under the impression you lived independently. A healthy, active 67-year-old man doesn't typically need assisted living. My nephew made arrangements. The nephew you donated to? Yes. Dr. Reeves set down her tablet. Mr. Thatcher, I'm going to be very direct with you. Something about this doesn't sit right with me. You're one of the healthiest donors I've operated on in the past year. You should be going home, recovering in your own space, not being sent to a facility. I don't have much choice. He says they're selling my house. Who owns the house? I do. It's in my name. Then how can he sell it without your permission? I stared at her. In my fog of post-surgical pain and emotional devastation, that simple fact hadn't even registered. He can't. No. He can't. Not unless you've signed something. Dr. Reeves pulled up a chair and sat down. Mr. Thatcher, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen a lot of family dynamics around organ donation. Most of them are beautiful, but sometimes people reveal who they really are. I want you to do me a favor. Before you sign anything else, before you agree to anything, talk to a lawyer, please. I felt something shift in my chest. Not pain, something else. Awareness, maybe. Why are you telling me this? Because I took an oath. And part of that oath is protecting my patients. Both of them. She stood up. There's something else. When we ran Marcus's pre-surgical blood work, I noticed some irregularities. His liver enzymes were elevated, yes, but there were also traces of certain compounds that shouldn't have been there. At the time, we attributed it to his condition. But now, I'm having the lab run some additional tests. If I find anything concerning, I'll be in touch. She left me with more questions than answers. An hour later, a transport van arrived to take me to Evergreen Assisted Living Community. The driver was a tired-looking man in his 40s who didn't make conversation. We drove for 30 minutes, moving farther and farther from the parts of Seattle I knew. The neighborhoods got progressively worse. Run-down strip malls, boarded-up buildings, check-cashing stores with bars on the windows. When we pulled up to Evergreen, my stomach sank. This wasn't a nice assisted living facility. This was a dump. The building was a converted motel, the kind that rented rooms by the week. The paint was peeling. Half the parking lot lights were broken. There was a shopping cart overturned near the entrance, and someone had spray-painted something illegible on the front door. You sure this is the right place? I asked the driver. He checked his clipboard. Evergreen Assisted Living, 14th and Pacific. This is it. He helped me out of the van. Every movement sent sharp pains through my abdomen. I had been given a prescription for pain medication, but it was barely taking the edge off. The driver walked me to the front desk and left without another word. The lobby smelled like boiled cabbage and urine. A television mounted to the wall was playing a game show at maximum volume. 3 elderly people sat in wheelchairs, staring at nothing. A woman behind a plexiglass partition barely looked up from her phone. Name? She asked. William Thatcher. I was told there's a room for me? She typed something slowly, using only her index fingers. Room 2. 18. Second floor. Elevators broken. Stairs are around the corner. She slid a key attached to a large plastic tag under the partition. Meals are at 7, noon, and 5. If you miss them, you miss them. No food in the rooms. I just had major surgery. I can barely walk. How am I supposed to carry my things up 2 flights of stairs? She shrugged. Not my problem. You can ask one of the other residents, I guess. I stood there, gripping the counter, trying not to pass out from pain and disbelief. This was where Marcus had sent me, his sick joke of gratitude. I made it up the stairs, one agonizing step at a time, gripping the railing with white knuckles. Room 2, 18 was at the end of a hallway that reeked of mildew. Inside was a twin bed with stained sheets, a dresser with a broken drawer, and a single folding chair. The window overlooked the dumpsters. I sat on the bed and stared at the wall. For the first time in my life, I felt completely defeated. That night, I couldn't sleep. The pain was constant, and the sounds from the other rooms were disturbing. Someone was screaming. Someone else was pounding on their door. Around 2 in the morning, I heard sirens. Apparently, someone in room 104 had died. I listened to the paramedics declare the time of death through my thin walls. I thought about Marcus, about Ashley, his wife of 6 months, whom I had met exactly twice. A blonde woman in her late 20s with cold eyes and a practiced smile. She had been the one pushing Marcus to make better financial decisions. I had assumed she meant budgeting, saving money. Now I wondered what she really meant. The next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Mr. Thatcher? This is Dr. Elena Reeves. We need to talk. In person. As soon as possible. My heart rate spiked. Is it Marcus? Is something wrong with the transplant? No. Marcus is fine. Physically. But I got the results back from those additional tests I ran. Mr. Thatcher, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Your nephew's liver failure wasn't caused by an autoimmune condition. I sat up too quickly, pain shooting through my side. What? He was poisoned. Over a period of months, someone was giving him something that systematically destroyed his liver function. Probably amatoxins, found in certain mushrooms. Enough to cause severe damage, but administered slowly enough that it mimicked a disease process. The room spun. That's impossible. Who would? I don't know. But there's more. When I reviewed your pre-surgical workup, I found something I missed the first time. Your baseline liver enzymes were also slightly elevated. Nothing alarming, nothing that would have stopped the surgery, but unusual for someone of your health profile. I'd like to run some tests on you. Check for any toxin exposure. You think someone poisoned me too? I think you should come in. Today, I looked around the filthy room. Doctor, I'm in a place called Evergreen Assisted Living. I don't even have a car here. My nephew apparently arranged for me to be dropped off and forgotten. There was a long pause. Give me the address. I'll send a medical transport. Be ready in an hour. Dr. Reeves's office was in a modern medical building adjacent to the hospital where the transplant had been performed. She personally walked me back to an exam room and drew 3 vials of blood. Results will take a few days, she said. But Mr. Thatcher, I'm also recommending you speak to the hospital's patient advocate and possibly the police. What's happening to you isn't just unethical. If my suspicions are correct, it's criminal. I don't understand. Why would Marcus poison himself? That makes no sense. Unless he didn't know he was being poisoned. Unless someone else wanted him sick enough to need a transplant. Sick enough that you would feel obligated to donate. The implication hit me like a physical blow. Ashley. Dr. Reeves didn't confirm or deny. I'm a doctor, not a detective. But I've seen enough to know that when money and family intersect, people do terrible things. You're a wealthy man, Mr. Thatcher, and you just underwent major surgery that will affect your health for the rest of your life. If someone wanted you weakened, vulnerable, this would be an effective way to do it. I thought about the letter, the assisted living facility, the plan to sell my house. I need to see my lawyer, I said. I think that's wise. By the time the medical transport dropped me back at Evergreen, it was late afternoon. I ignored the pain and pulled out my laptop. My lawyer, Richard Brennan, had handled the sale of my company 5 years ago. He was semi-retired now. But he answered on the second ring. Bill Thatcher, I heard you had surgery. How are you recovering? Not well, Richard. I need your help. Urgently. I explained everything. The donation, Marcus's letter, Evergreen, Dr. Reeves's discovery. When I finished, there was a long silence. Bill, I need you to check something for me. Go online and pull up your property records. King County Assessor's website. Look up your house. I navigated to the site with shaking hands, entered my address. The page loaded. My house had been transferred to Marcus Thatcher 3 weeks ago. That's impossible, I whispered. I never signed anything. Someone forged your signature. Bill, this is serious. I'm filing for an emergency injunction first thing tomorrow morning. In the meantime, don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And if you have any important documents, bank statements, anything like that, I need you to secure them immediately. Everything's at my house. Marcus has access to all of it. Then we move fast. I'm also going to recommend you speak to a detective I know. Her name is Sarah Chen. She works in the financial crimes unit. If what you're telling me is true, your nephew and his wife are in the middle of committing elder fraud, forgery, and possibly attempted murder. That word, murder. I had given Marcus part of my liver. I had saved his life, and he was trying to kill me. The next week was a blur of activity. Detective Chen took my statement. Dr. Reeves's lab results came back positive for trace amounts of the same toxins found in Marcus. Someone had been poisoning both of us. Richard filed multiple legal actions. The forged property transfer was flagged. An investigation was opened into Ashley's background. What they found was stunning. Ashley Kincaid had a criminal record under 3 different names: credit card fraud in Nevada, identity theft in Arizona. She had married and divorced twice before Marcus, both times to significantly older men. Both times, she had walked away with substantial assets after manipulating vulnerable people into signing over property and accounts. Marcus, it turned out, was her youngest target, and I was the real prize. Detective Chen obtained a search warrant for my house. What they found in the kitchen made my blood run cold. A bag of dried mushrooms hidden in the back of the pantry. Analysis confirmed they were Galerina marginata, death caps, highly toxic. Mixed into food in small amounts over time, they would cause exactly the symptoms Marcus had experienced. They also found documents, forged powers of attorney, a fake will leaving everything to Marcus, bank transfer forms with my forged signature. Ashley had been systematic, meticulous. She had been slowly poisoning Marcus to create a crisis that would require my intervention. Then, once I was weakened from surgery, she planned to poison me too. Make it look like surgical complications. She would have Marcus, young and grieving, inherit everything, and then she would take it from him. The confrontation came 2 weeks after my surgery. Detective Chen and 2 uniformed officers showed up at the house I legally still owned. I was with them. My side still hurt, but I could walk now, think clearly, and I wanted to see Marcus's face. Ashley answered the door. When she saw the police, her expression went blank. Perfectly, eerily blank. "Ashley Kincaid?" Detective Chen said. "You're under arrest for attempted murder, fraud, forgery, and elder abuse." Marcus appeared behind her, confused. "What's going on? Uncle Bill?" I looked at my nephew. He had lost weight. He was pale, dark circles under his eyes. But he was alive. Because of me. "Marcus, your wife poisoned you. She poisoned both of us. She forged my signature and tried to steal everything I own. And you helped her." "What?" "No. Uncle Bill, I don't know what you're talking about." "You were on pain medication," I thought. "You thought what? That I would give you part of my liver and then immediately volunteer to live in a dump while you sold my house?" His face crumpled. "I didn't know. Ashley handled everything. She said she was helping. She said you needed professional care because of your age and the surgery. I trusted her." Detective Chen was reading Ashley her rights. She remained silent, her face a mask. "Mr. Thatcher," Detective Chen said to Marcus, "we're going to need you to come to the station as well. Answer some questions." "Am I under arrest?" "Not at this time. But we need to determine your level of involvement." Over the next few days, the full picture emerged. Marcus had been genuinely sick. He had believed the doctor's initial diagnosis of autoimmune disease. He had no knowledge of the poisoning. Ashley had manipulated him completely, playing on his guilt about being a burden to me, convincing him that I had agreed to all the arrangements. She had shown him forged documents that looked legitimate. He was her victim too, but that didn't change what he had done. When I was at my most vulnerable, recovering from major surgery, he hadn't questioned why I was being sent to a facility that looked like a condemned building. He hadn't called me, hadn't visited. He had taken the easy path, let someone else make the decisions, and abandoned me. The legal proceedings took months. Ashley was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, multiple counts of fraud and forgery, and elder abuse. She pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. The mushrooms in the pantry, the forged documents, her history of similar crimes, security footage from a grocery store showing her purchasing the specific mushrooms, bank records showing she had already started transferring my money to accounts in her name. She was convicted on all counts. 25 years to life. Marcus was never charged criminally. The district attorney determined he had been manipulated and had no knowledge of the poisoning or forgery. But our relationship was over. I made that clear the last time I saw him, in Richard's office, when we were finalizing the legal cleanup. Uncle Bill, please, I know I messed up. I should have questioned things. I should have protected you the way you protected me all these years. I'm sorry. I looked at the young man I had raised like a son. Marcus, I gave you part of my liver, literally, a piece of my body, and 3 days later, you sent me to a place where people died in the night and nobody cared. You didn't even call. You know what that taught me? That I spent 20 years sacrificing for someone who saw me as a bank account. Maybe you didn't know about Ashley's plan, but you didn't love me enough to check, and that's something I can't forgive. He cried. I didn't. I'm 70 now. 3 years have passed since the surgery. My liver regenerated, just like Dr. Reeves said it would. I'm healthy. Active. I sold my engineering firm's remaining assets and used the money to start a foundation that helps elderly people who have been victims of financial abuse. It's my way of making sure what happened to me doesn't happen to others. I still live in my house, the one Ashley tried to steal. I had the kitchen completely renovated. Couldn't stand to look at the pantry where she had hidden her poison. Marcus sends me letters sometimes. I don't open them. Dr. Reeves and I have coffee every few months. She tells me I'm her favorite patient, the one she thinks about when she doubts humanity. I tell her she saved my life twice, once on the operating table, and once when she trusted her instincts and investigated. People ask me if I regret donating. The answer is complicated. I don't regret saving Marcus's life. Despite everything, he was innocent in his own way. Foolish, yes. Weak, absolutely, but not evil like Ashley. Do I regret trusting him? Every single day. If there's anything I want people to understand from my story, it's this. Love your family, but protect yourself. No matter how much you trust someone, keep your legal affairs in order. Don't sign things when you're medicated or stressed. Have an advocate, a lawyer, someone who can think clearly when you can't. And if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. Dr. Reeves did. It's the only reason I'm not dead or penniless or still rotting in that hellhole called Evergreen. I gave my nephew life. He gave me betrayal. But in the end, justice gave me my life back. And sometimes, that has to be enough. I sleep well now. No more nightmares about cold rooms and flickering lights. No more waking up wondering if someone's poisoning my food. I've learned to accept that sometimes the people you sacrifice everything for are the ones who will hurt you most. But I've also learned that you can rebuild. Even at 70. Even after your liver's been cut into. Even after your heart's been broken by someone you loved like a son. The scar on my abdomen has faded to a thin white line. But the scar on my soul will always be there. A reminder of the price of unconditional love and the cost of blind trust. I still wake up thirsty sometimes. But now, I get up and get my own water from my own kitchen, in my own house. And I drink it knowing that nobody's trying to kill me. That's a gift I'll never take for granted again.